Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. And by the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission advocates on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
Hi, welcome back to Community Hotline. I'm Monica Weitzel. We're here in Gresham at MetroEast Community Media. Now we're going to be talking with Glenn Gilbert, who is the Executive Director of the Tucker Maxon School. So I would love to welcome you to MetroEast, Glenn.
Thank you very much.
Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
So we've had a little bit of interaction in the past, but not a whole lot. And I know where Tucker Maxon is in Southeast Portland. It's been there a long time. Can you give me a little background on the school itself and the history of it?
Sure. Well, we're celebrating our 70th anniversary this year.
Which
so
is huge.
Big deal.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yep.
We've
been doing it for a while. And the school was founded in 1947 by 1947, by a family by the name of Bowley, and they had a child who was deaf. Neither of the parents was deaf, and so they went about trying to figure out how are they going to educate their daughter. 90% of children that are born deaf in America, both of their parents have typical hearing. It's a recessive gene. And so it rocks their world, it changes their world. It's not something that they expected or knew about when they were waiting for their child. And so this family decided that they wanted to raise their child as much as possible to be able to speak as opposed to sign. So Paul Bowley went around the country and he talked to people in St. Louis and Boston and New York, and he was a big lawyer downtown Portland. And he thought, well, I can't just move my whole family to one of these cities where there's a great school. Because I've got to practice here.
Right.
And he was actually at what is now Stoll Reeves. He's one of the founders of Stoll Reeves. And so they suggested he come back to Portland and start his own school. And he's the kind of guy who could actually do that. The school started with five families.
Not everybody can do that.
Not everybody can do that. And he was he had a relationship with Max Tucker, who was a forestry guy who was a philanthropist. And Max came out to the school, which was originally in his living room. They had 5 kids in their living room, up by where the Lloyd Center is now, before the Lloyd Center. And Max was so impressed, he said that he would give the money to actually help build the school. The first building opened in 1953.
Wow, that's impressive. And that's great to have friends like that, isn't it?
It is. We couldn't have done it without them.
I can't even imagine. Well, so Tucker Maxon it was originally a school for the deaf or hearing impaired. But it's not just that anymore, is it?
It's not. Since about the mid-'80s, it's been a school that had both children that are deaf and children with typical hearing. And when you think about it, if you wanted your child to learn to talk, and if you wanted your child to have every opportunity in the world to do anything in their education, in their career, in their social life, I often joke, I want my kid to be able to, if you wanted your kid to be able to walk into Burgerville and just say, I'd like a cheeseburger and fries, the person behind the counter would have to sign if that's all that you could do is sign. And so we have absolutely no opposition to sign language. In fact, I personally think sign language is really beautiful. But it's limiting in that you can only communicate with people who can sign.
Who know how to sign,
and,
right.
and so if you want that opportunity, then learning how to speak is, we live in a world where most people speak. And so the idea is that if you want to have a school where you're teaching kids to speak, you do it in a school that has children that are both deaf and hearing. And they're learning from each other. They talk to each other. In fact, I often think that some of the best learning opportunities happen on the playground, in the gymnasium, when the kids are actually talking to each other. And it's that social interaction where kids kind of learn how to have friends, how to have sleepovers, how to have play dates with everybody.
Things that everybody needs to learn.
Yes.
But I imagine that it gives both sides a different perspective on inclusion.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Just because so often kids that are hearing, they're not with kids that are hearing impaired. Just like sighted kids, not with people that are sight impaired. So getting that mix, it's like it takes the stigma away from it.
Well, one of my favorite realizations was that the children who do not have hearing loss were learning social and emotional intelligence, Because they were with kids that were deaf, they were learning to be better listeners. They were learning to communicate more clearly. They were learning empathy and respect for difference. And it's a beautiful thing to see that these two groups actually are getting so much. It's very symbiotic. They're getting so much from each other.
I think that's wonderful, and I hadn't realized that for a long time that's how the school is set up now. And I think that's a great idea. Are there a lot of other schools that do that now? Is that more common?
There are 40 schools in the country that focus on spoken language for deaf children the way we do, and a handful of them have a fair percentage of hearing children there as well. We're the second highest in the country.
Wow.
There's only one other school in the country that has a higher majority.
Did the idea to do that, did it start with maybe brothers and sisters, that kind of thing?
There were siblings, and there were children of teachers in the beginning who wanted to have their child there. But what actually happened is we had 2 buildings on campus, and we had room. And so we started renting out space on the campus to another nonprofit called Child's Work. Child's Work was a beautiful preschool that focused on typical children without any disabilities. And we started blending the classes together. They're a nonprofit and our nonprofit. For about 15 years, this experiment was going on, and people started to realize that we were on to something, and then Child's Work needed more space, and they moved out. And the board decided that we would just continue the model at the school, and that's been going on now since about the year 2001.
I love it. I think it's great. You brought a video.
Yes.
It's a celebration video of your 70th year. I believe it was shown at your gala.
It was.
Can you set it up for us and tell us what we'll see on that?
Well, first of all, I didn't have to bring it because Metro Community Media made it for us.
We did make this one,
which was fantastic. We contracted with you guys, and you did a fantastic job. I just want to say thanks to everybody who worked on the project. We celebrate our 70th anniversary this year, as I said, and we wanted to do something special and really capture what the school is like. You know, it's one thing for me to come on and talk about it. You don't have the kids. The kids aren't there.
Right, and the kids are the beauty of it, really.
Absolutely.
No offense, but yeah.
No, it's true. That's why we wanted to do the film. I could talk about it for hours, but the reality is when you see the kids, you understand what a special place the school is.
Well, I think we should take a look at that now.
Thank you.
Okay.
I love my mommy. I love my daddy. I love my doggy. I love talking Maxon school.
I love that video.
I love that video too.
I love that ending. It just like
Yeah.
grabs you.
And
Yeah,
that actually wasn't planned at the beginning. We just put that at the end. Of Mom suggested it. She knew
good
what we were
suggestion.
going to use it for.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting idea too to have a music video about a school that teaches kids to talk and then not hear their voices, but you capture so much with the video, and then at the end to have that.
Yeah.
That kid, when I first met that kid, he did not speak. He maybe had a handful of words, and he's been at the school for 3 years now, and now they can't get him to stop talking.
Is he hearing impaired?
He is.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I think that's one of my favorite things about the school. I bring visitors to go on a tour, and by the time they're there for about 45 minutes or an hour, they can't quite tell which kids are hearing impaired and which kids are not.
Wow.
And that's kind of the whole point, I think, of the school.
Right. That's why I love it. I think that's great. So you teach deaf kids like right alongside the hearing kids. Do you have a lot of volunteers that work there too, or do you have a huge staff, or what?
Yeah.
There's a lot of. I saw a lot of adults.
There are a lot of people
Yeah.
there. There's about 30 paid staff and about 100 volunteers.
Wow. Yeah.
And pretty soon we'll have more. We're starting a partnership with Start Making a Reader Today, SMART.
Great organization.
And
yeah.
in fact, it begins just in 1 month, and we're looking for volunteers to come read to kids for 1 hour per week. You can
Okay.
do more, but 1 hour is the minimum. It's going to be Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11. And it's the first year we've done this, and we're really excited about this. So it's a great opportunity to ask
Yeah.
if people live nearby or want to get involved at the school. This is such a small way, to do something really
It's an easy
impactful.
thing to do, especially somebody like me who loves to read.
Yeah,
I love
1
to
hour a
read. I
week,
love, it's an easy thing to do.
And you're assigned to the same couple of kids for the whole, it's about a 10-month commitment during the school year. A little bit less actually, because we're starting October, 9-month commitment. So you also get that relationship part of it. It's the literacy aspect, but also the mentorship.
Right, I was going to say it's almost like a mentoring program. Yeah.
We're really excited to get started on that.
That's great. So people are interested, they can go to the website, check it
can,
out.
yeah.
I think we might have the information on the screen too, so people can know
Great.
how to do that. Now, how are you supported? Are you a Portland Public School, or are you a
We're a completely private
Okay.
nonprofit. And I'm glad you asked, because it's always a struggle to come up with the money to sustain a program like this. We're about 50% tuition-based and about 50% fundraising.
Okay, that's quite a bit of fundraising.
And 0% state government supported.
Oh, my, yeah.
So, it's a challenge, because those kids that are coming to us would normally be in the public schools. And
Right.
so we'd very much like to receive more public support. But we've been trying for years. We get a couple of kids that are on contract with different school districts, but it's primarily tuition and fundraising. And the fundraising is because not every kid can afford to pay tuition.
Right.
So most of the fundraising actually goes to help provide financial aid for children who can't afford to come to the school.
Who need to come, or
Absolutely.
should be there. Yeah. So you have an annual auction and dinner. When is that? Is that?
Don't have the exact date yet. It's in May of
It's in May, okay.
2018.
And is that something that, well, obviously you'll want people to attend that when that comes
Absolutely,
around.
yeah.
Will you need volunteers to help out with that too?
Volunteers, we'd love people to attend. We have a great group of sponsors, so if a company wanted to sponsor the event, we'd love to have sponsorship as well. That one is a little bit further out, but if people are interested in getting involved, they can also go to our website. One of the things I wanted to say about the school is, it feels just like a regular school, but those hearing aids and those cochlear implants, they malfunction. So the kid walks down the hall, and we have an audiologist on site who fixes the device, who tests their hearing, make sure everything's working, make sure that every morning they have an FM device that attaches to their hearing device, and when the teacher talks into a microphone wirelessly, that sound goes directly into the child's hearing device.
Oh, wow.
And so they've got all these great supports. We have a speech-language pathologist on staff full-time, and each kid sees the speech-language pathologist about an hour a week. We have 6 teachers of the deaf who are certified to be teachers of the deaf. And we start seeing children as young as 6 months old when they're newborns, and the parents are just trying to figure out how do we deal with this?
How do we cope with this?
Yeah, there's an element of social work actually in it, but it's also teaching those parents that they're the first teachers for their child, and that the more you speak to your kid, the better that child's going to be at learning language themselves. And that's true of any child.
Yeah, that's right. And read to them.
Read to them, talk to them until you're
Sing
blue in the
with
face.
them.
If you're tired when you come home at the end of the day, don't turn the TV on. Talk to your kids, read to your kids. It's amazing. They'll end up being better at math and science because of it. There's incredible studies that are being shown now that just simply acquiring language as soon as possible, as early as possible, and as much as possible makes all the difference in the world.
It's good. That's good information for anybody to listen to and pay attention to. We're just about out of time, Glenn. Is there anything else that that you want to share with us before I let you go here?
You know, I had no background in this before I started, and I've got to say it's been just such a gratifying experience. The school's in good health financially. We're doing really well. It's a really, when I ask people to describe the school, the two words they came up with to describe the school were family and community. And that's the most wonderful thing, I think, when you come to visit the school. And I'd invite—
It feels like family.
Yeah, I'd invite folks who have children who would like to just come visit. Come visit the school and come see us after September 5th when we open back up for the fall. Come see the school.
And you'll be accepting kids hearing impaired and not.
Absolutely. We have space actually right now in both the preschool and the elementary school. We start preschoolers at age 3. We go up to 5th grade.
Great. That's wonderful. Thank you so much for being on here and sharing all the information about Tucker Maxon. I'd like to come by and check it out sometime.
Please do sometime.
So
thank you so much, and thank you for the video as well.
You're welcome.
Did a great
You're very
job
welcome.
on it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this segment of Community Hotline. Tucker Maxon is a great place. You can tell that by the video. You can tell that by listening to Glenn. And if you want to get involved, then you might want to consider being part of the SMART program and reading to the kids there. I'm Monica Weitzel. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more of Community Hotline.
Community Hotline is made possible with generous support by Gresham Ford, the dealer with a heart. The Contribute to the Community program provides the opportunity for the Gresham Ford team to make a positive impact, serving their customers and helping people across the community. And by the Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission. The Mount Hood Cable Regulatory Commission advocates on behalf of the public interest on communications policy issues at the local, state, and federal levels.
Community television is what participatory democracy is about.
Like my friend Laird Ross says, it's the last great American soapbox.
It gives me a voice.
I'm glad it's available.
It's incredibly important to protect a place where all users of locally based nonprofit media have a place to speak and share their stories.